I was just an extra on The Last of Us. I got to be in the quarantine zone set, which was unbelievable.
Nice.
It's like it was. You could just see how expensive it was. It was like they built this entire city basically
It's
that you
crazy.
could walk around. You go down a street and go down an alley and turn a corner, and there'd be like a whole other set there. It was unbelievable.
Where was
But I
this?
just
Like it was
in
the
Calgary.
oh Calgary. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I just applied, and months passed. I knew they were shooting stuff, so I didn't think I got it. And they randomly phoned me, and then I went in for a costume fitting. And as soon as they showed me that costume, I was like, I am golden. This is gonna be amazing. Because like the guy ahead of me just got like a regular like gray shirt and plaid jacket. I got this like super like neon bright yellow sweater that had sparkly palm trees on it and said, I think, Fort Lauderdale on the bottom, and a cap that said Daily News or something like that. And I was like, I'm going to stand out so much.
Is Fort Lauderdale
And
part of the lore, or is that just a
no,
shirt?
it was just completely
Yeah.
random.
It's
I don't know why they gave this to me.
that guy's lore.
Yeah, exactly.
He was
It's
fired
like I had a
that day.
whole backstory now.
Yeah.
So I get there. The first day was just like perfect. It was like a dream. I immediately got thrown into a scene, but I wasn't really on camera. And I was looking around, and actually the first thing that happened was they lined me up in front of the director, Craig Mazin. And Craig Mazin comes out and he looks at all of us and looks at me, and I swear he goes, he points right at me and laughs. I was like, this is great. And so then I was just standing there waiting on this scene, and I look around and I'm like, I swear this is true. I was like, Pedro Pascal is looking right at me. He's looking right at me. What's going on? I looked away and I looked back, and he's still looking at me. And then I saw him like talk to Craig Mazin, and they looked at me and laughed again. And I was like, what is going on? This is amazing. And then independently of all that, the assistant director chose me to be in front of this line in a scene. There's a lineup of people who had been digging in an ash pit, basically. And he put me right in the front of the line. Pedro Pascal was behind me in that line. And so I was like front and center. And because of that too, the great thing was they had to match me with all the other people that had been digging in the ash pit. So they just like covered me in this makeup, like dirt makeup. And I had, because they had to catch me up, I had like 4 makeup people on me at once, just covering me in makeup. And I
Just the
felt
most
for like
extravagant extra of all time.
for 20 minutes, I was like, I'm the star of this show.
They
It
need
felt
the
incredible.
makeup shotgun just blasted on your face.
That would have been great. Yeah. So anyway, I'm in line, and we're just doing like a practice take, and I have to get my money and then just walk off, and they tell me where to walk off. And then Pedro does his scene, and I realized he's walking off, and while I was doing that scene, they were talking, and Pedro was like, "That's a great shirt, man. That's a great shirt." And so I'm walking away, and then I realized Pedro Pascal is going to walk the exact same way, and he's going to walk right near me. I was like, oh my God. And I didn't know what to say at all. I had nothing to say. So I just like pointed at the shirt. It's like, eh? He's like, that shirt is unbelievable. And he's like, it's so sparkly. And then he said, my favorite thing was, he goes, why am I starring in that show when we have that shirt? So good. And then as we were walking away, he was just like, it's so great. Cause like most post-apocalyptic shows, they'll just be like gray, dreary outfits. And this is what it would be like, man. This is what it would actually be like. And I was just like, yeah, I didn't say anything. I was just like, yeah, Pedro.
For sure.
Yeah, you're right.
He just thinks you're some special needs guy from
Yeah, totally.
Wandered On,
Yeah,
treating you
totally.
really nicely.
See my yellow sparkly shirt?
It was my Make-A-Wish.
Yeah. He was awesome. He was talking to all the extras. He was really friendly, really nice guy. And that was pretty much it for my first day. but that was unbelievable.
So did you
I
have
got
to
meet Pedro
do
Pascal.
lots of like when you were actually doing the scene for real? Were you like nervous having to? Did you think you would mess it up somehow, or like?
I was kind of nervous, but no, it was pretty simple. Like all I had to do was take some money and then count it a little bit and then walk off.
You just drop it all.
Yeah, it's like, what is money? Yeah.
So wait, this was in season 1.
Yeah, first episode.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm gonna rewatch that then.
Yeah, and
I mean,
you
if
are
we're
in the
just,
shot,
like,
right? Yeah.
It's like a second, but I take up like a whole third of the frame. Like I'm very prominent in the shot.
The star of the frame, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Bigger than Pedro Pascal in that frame. Yeah, that was amazing. The second day, I didn't do anything for 9 hours. And then the third day, I got to...
that was it?
That was it. I didn't do anything for 9 hours. The third day, they took me and I got to do... I got to be digitally photographed. So I got put in like a circular chamber with 200 DSL cameras pointed at me in different directions, and they all take a picture at the same time and make like a 3D model of you, so that I could potentially be used in crowd scenes or something.
Oh,
I don't know, but now HBO owns my likeness basically.
So you might be in season 2 without your knowledge.
I could be. Yeah. I gotta watch it. I gotta keep watching.
You could be in a lot of things without your knowledge now.
It's true. No. And it was funny. Like right after that, there was the actor strike. That like part of the actor strike was about digital likenesses and whether that was like the studio owns that or not. And I was a little late.
You find out you're like the best supporting actor on Succession or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Your likeness is from a time where there were no rights, so they can use it in everything in the future.
Exactly. Yeah, pretty much.
No rights. That's hilarious.
Did you have to sign anything when they asked you to do
Oh,
it?
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and like as soon as you go in, you had to give up your phone for the entire day.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't
Take
do it.
everything away from you.
I'd go nuts.
Even during the 9 hours or what?
Yeah.
Oh,
I just brought a book.
What did you guys do? Were you just in a big kind of camp out area, tent kind of thing? And
Big tent. Yeah. They give you food and
What book did you read for 9 hours?
I can't even remember.
Did you read?
He said that's what he said. He said he read it.
Oh,
yeah.
It was just the Bible. It was cool.
And then the other thing that happened was on the third day they had 200 extras there for one shot, and it's like a 3-second shot. It's like they had this huge main street, and they just had us all like moving down that main street as like in a big city basically. And that was really fun. Yeah, it was unbelievable.
That's cool.
What are
I
your
wish the second season is shot here as well.
Yeah, and some of it was shot like right outside my apartment as well. Yeah, crazy.
Some of it was actually shot in Edmonton too, but I for some reason didn't get hired for any of that.
That would have been so nice.
Yeah, it was a pain going to Calgary because I had to go back. I had to go back and forth a bunch of times.
Have you seen the show? Have you been watching it?
Yeah. I've only seen the first like 3 episodes, I think.
Okay.
And I got kind of bored. I'm not the biggest fan even of the game, but I thought it was the coolest thing.
I was going to ask you if you wanted to, because I might take this more in the game direction, but I was going to ask what you think of the games overall, because I knew you were never a huge fan of the games, actually.
Yeah, like I think they're great games. I think they're really well done, but I guess they're more overrated. I think.
What an idiot!
They get bandied about as just the greatest games of all time, and they're like, I don't know, they're good.
You've played both?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I might jump in just because my story kind of dovetails off of yours in a way, because I even before the show was ever announced, I was telling my agent, I'm like, man, like keep your ear to the ground, because I know like any day now they're gonna make a movie or a TV show about The Last of Us. I was ahead of so many people, and I'm like, just if anything comes up, I'll do anything. I'll be anything on it. So just keep me in mind. And then it finally was announced, and I was like kind of annoyed, because I know I was like the first actor who was like talking about it here in Vancouver. Now everyone is like wants to be on it kind of thing, and it's hard to be seen through all the noise. But I did actually get an audition for the first season, and it was a super small, like 1 or 2 line thing. My audition, I don't think my audition had any actual dialogue in it, which made it difficult to do, but it did have dialogue in the actual show. But the reason I bring it up was because if I had gotten that role, I would have been in the scene with you, because you were in the lineup that my guy is like, everyone's stopping at this desk or something like that. And I was the
you
guy
were like
at the desk.
the guy paying people out.
Yeah.
For the, oh, that's hilarious.
And my friend Jason got that part. Yeah. So it would have been so nuts if we were all in the same, the same scene. That was such a weird coincidence, but
that's crazy.
Didn't get it though. But yeah, but Jason, Burkhart, he'll probably be on the podcast as well. He got that, just a couple lines. And cool. Now, and I didn't get anything since. I thought for sure I'd get something for the season 2 because it's shooting here, but I think it's just really hard to get on. But yeah, I was going to take it more into the game realm because I don't know. I feel like I'm on a weird, maybe a minority in the way I think, but I've always thought like the first game. My first time playing it was actually the remaster on PS4. I never played it like when it first came out, and I did love it. Like story wise. Well, I'll get to that in a bit later, but yeah, I don't know. I thought the gameplay was a little bit repetitive. I wasn't a huge fan of the gameplay loop. It was just kind of very apparent, like really in your face of like, you're doing this puzzle part where you have to hold each other up. Now you're doing the talking part. Now you're doing the gun part. Now you're back to doing this part. And it was like a 3 triad of like over and over and over again without ever mixing it up. And by that time, I feel like we'd already played other like cover shooters or stealth shooters that were better than that. So I don't know, the gameplay wise, I was always like, this is kind of a chore, but I did like the presentation a lot. Obviously, it was probably the most, at the time, it was like the best produced game in that way. So the storyline was cool, but even the actual literal story was a little bit not that unique. It's just a zombie thing, so it wasn't that crazy. But the part that I liked the most was Joel's like character arc. I thought that was extremely well done. Like I thought it was like up there with like a Breaking Bad kind of thing with Walter White. I thought his psychology and the journey that character goes through was like so expertly done, because it's just like very subtle throughout the whole thing, and it really has to build in a way that the ending, that the last like lines in that game, I think is like one of my favorite endings in a video game. I thought it was really, really cool.
I love the ending too. Yeah. It's amazing.
I haven't seen it. Is there like a really poignant is it the yes, Ellie, we really were the Last of Us? Is that actually it?
wait, I should have asked, what is your has everyone you haven't played these or what?
No, I played the very beginning of the first one on the remaster, and I was like, this is just a game about sad people, and
it's such a downer.
Kind of lost interest at that point. And like, I like Naughty Dog games for what they are, or the previous Naughty Dog games for being like really fun and breakneck action, just like constant nonstop. And this is still kind of that, but I don't know, all these lulls where everyone's just getting all up in their feelings. I just wasn't interested.
I thought for some reason you had played them. I should have.
I think through cultural osmosis, I probably basically may have as well, but. Like, I think I know everything that happens over the course of the series.
Yeah.
So go nuts. I'm never gonna play it.
To sum that up, the first game, I think, like, great story, or at least the character arc, and then like kind of humdrum average gameplay. Then for the sequel, I had like the exact opposite feeling, where I hated the storyline and loved the gameplay. I thought the gameplay was like a 10. I thought it was like everything the first one was, but like, there was still a kind of a loop. It was just hidden a little bit better, and there was a little bit more variety, but I thought the gunplay and everything felt so good. Like when the dogs are coming at you and stuff, I thought the dogs were like the best AI I've ever had in a game. It was so frightening having them follow you and stuff.
There were a few times where I'd beat a sequence and then I would just kill myself to do it again, because they were like, they were so fun to do some of those plays, especially in the neighborhoods when you're sneaking through and there's a lot of guys to kill. the gameplay just feels so good, which is why when they canceled the factions thing, I was kind of disappointed, because I thought this would be amazing as a multiplayer game if you're into that.
Well, the first one had a multiplayer, right? I never played it, but apparently it was really good.
Yeah.
So and again, the presentation was incredible. I've never seen anything so well polished. Like, so many animations, like going from crawling on your belly to like on your back under cars, like everything looked flawless. So in that regard, I thought part 2 was great, but then I thought the storyline was like weirdly, I felt it was like very immature, despite it being violent. I just thought it was really, compared to the first one, where I thought it had a subtle, like, the psychology of Joel's arc, and then the second one was just a lot of like, you're sleeping with who? Oh, I can't believe you're having sex with that person. No, I'm pregnant now. It's just like it felt like a teen soap opera, or like some kind of Walking Dead type level of stuff, and it almost felt like I knew at that moment, I'm like, it almost feels like they know they're going to make this into a TV show, because they're just starting to add like all these weird factions that seem almost fantasy like. I guess there should be spoiler warnings or whatever, but there's just a lot of characters in the second one where I'm like, I don't know, there's like literal like, I don't know, they come off almost like elves, like fantasy creatures, that I'm just like, this is going to look so cheesy in a TV show, and it also just doesn't seem to fit in what I imagine The Last of Us. The first one was very grounded. This one just felt like it went a little bit into an area where I'm like, that doesn't seem that believable. So I don't know. The second one, story-wise, I didn't really like for that reason. It did have the golf, without spoiling too much, the golf scene I thought was great. I did not see that coming that early.
I can't believe like they put Tiger Woods right in there. Like, that's true.
The reason I like bring is it a better golf scene than the BioShock golf scene?
It's similar, for sure.
Actually, yeah.
The reason I like that sequence is it's like the first time I think I've ever experienced grief, like in real life or in a video game. I was really weirdly affected by it. It hung over me for so long, because the way it's done is so visceral and like so nasty. Like, you really feel the anger that the other characters going through watching it all happen. And then like after that, I'm just like, wow, I didn't expect that to happen so early in the game. And it just like really affected me. I was like legitimately, I think, depressed for like 3 days after that.
Were you able to go in completely blind when you played Last of Us 2?
Yeah. It's one of those things where I knew that would happen probably at some point, but the way it happened and when it happened really caught me off guard, I think.
That's amazing.
And so
a lot of people seemed really upset by that twist, but I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
To kind of flip your expectations like that.
It's also like super risky, right? Like, people literally fell in love with Joel and Ellie, and to take one of your characters and just be like, poof, right at the beginning of the game, that's pretty risky, especially for a AAA game. To do that is brave, I guess.
Even like Metal Gear Solid 2, people did not react well to that, and they didn't get rid of Snake altogether there, but people were furious there already, and this is that times 5.
Yeah, I'm curious how they end up doing it for the show, and I'm curious how other people who don't know the games react to it. I hope they do it the same way.
It just occurred to me that that's coming, and that'll make some interesting internet discourse, at least. Yeah. Is that going to be a season 2 occurrence, you think?
I think it's going to happen next episode, if I were to guess. Yeah,
maybe that'll be the one that I tune into.
Has everyone who's watching this show caught up? Can I talk about it for a second, or have you seen it, Jeremy?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, go ahead though. I'm not watching it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me either.
You're not going to watch season 2?
No.
We're really passionate about Last of Us.
I don't like the show at all. It's not for me.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I was very excited for the show. I think they made a lot of weird choices that I would not have made. That I think it's its own thing completely. I don't really feel like the characters are well represented. I think the first season like barely spends any time with Joel and Ellie. Like every episode is like a different set of characters, and I'm like, well, can we get on with the actual main characters here? And they like never show them ever, and they're always a part of the shortest episode. It'll be like an hour and a half with these two side characters, and then the next episode's like half an hour long, and it's Joel and Ellie. And I'm like, we need to care about these characters, and I'm really worried about how people who haven't played the games feel about season 2, because things are going to happen where you need to understand why these two characters feel so strongly about each other. But I don't think they actually established that bond in the first season, because they were so, there's only 6 episodes or 8 or something like that, and they were not really the focal point of many of them. So I'm curious if people are going to really go along with
they're going to feel the same. They're going to feel devastated, but it's because they're losing Pedro Pascal, not because they're losing Joel.
Right.
Because there's absolutely there's no way, if you haven't played the games, there's absolutely no way that you've watched the first season and think that Joel and Ellie have like this unbreakable, like this lifelong bond. Like there's just absolutely no way. You spent like an hour with them across a whole season. There's absolutely no way that you can compare that to the 20 hours or so that you spend with them straight in the game. And it felt really, I don't know if the directors just didn't think that would make an interesting show, just watching the two characters for 10 episodes or something. But that's why it was so worth it in the end, is because you built like these people were, friends or family or whatever it was, whatever they were to you. That's why the second game was so devastating, was because Joel was like a real person to you, right? And in that first season of the show, he's just like every other character, kind of almost a side character to some degree. Like they're not the main characters. It didn't feel like that to me, anyways.
And you don't even get like the bond of like the father-daughter bond as much in that. Like that was such an important part of the games, and this one I feel like they almost don't even like each other. There's like one scene where they get along and joke about stuff in like one episode, but yeah, I don't know. I'm curious how the show ends up being, but that's my tidbits of The Last of Us overall. The first one is in my top 10. It's like my number 5 favorite game, but it's mostly for that, specifically the Joel arc. I love that character arc so much. And the second one is quite far down, even though it's actually one of the only times I've ever had a game do this, where it's like I love the gameplay so much, but because the story is such a prominent part of those games and I didn't like the story, it's so hard to rate it, where it's like I love the gameplay but the story fell so flat for me, so I don't even know where to put it. It's almost like two different entities. But yeah, I don't know. I do enjoy talking about them. They're very they're very divisive and very, there's lots to talk about, but yeah, I don't know. Those are my 2 cents. Jerbear, you can
I think I feel like I'm in a strange minority, even though I'm probably not. But just I actually I enjoyed the second one, the story and everything. Like I thought the first one was the first time I felt like games had achieved almost like a bit of a literary style ending. Like they were confident enough to sort of leave things up in a bit of a vague way. And I read a quote one time that said like the difference between like a literary fiction and genre fiction is that in literary fiction there's no ending. Like it just sort of just everything goes back to the way it normally it was before. At the end nothing gets resolved, whereas in genre things usually get resolved. And that's why it felt like in The Last of Us, where it felt very confident in the way it was telling its story. And in the second one, the thing I liked about it was less so about like the focus is on a different character, so the story is different. You get more of the struggles and the things that are going on in a teenager's life, especially several years into a post-apocalyptic or dystopian world. So things sort of feel like humans are claiming back some normalcy in their days. So they're dating, they're doing that kind of stuff. But that wasn't so much the interesting thing to me. The interesting thing was I think it was an interview I read with Neil Druckmann where he was saying how the second game was supposed to be a reckoning for all of the players who fell in love with Joel and Ellie to the point where they could see them, they could do no wrong. And what Abby does, and what she represents, is not. I think a lot of people, like I have friends who think that Abby was sort of like a cheap way of manipulating you. You know, saying like, "Oh, see, like everyone does evil things, and this is and she's doing the same thing that Ellie did, and da 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 da, or that Joel did, and you like Joel," kind of thing. But for me, it was more about the fact that you it wasn't it was more about how Abby represented um like a way to sort of like call all of us hypocrites in a way. You can write off um all of the people that Joel killed simply because you really like Joel. But when Abby comes along and does the same thing to your favorite person, she's evil. And I thought that was, again, just like a really kind of a narrative risk to take. The game, you know, has its flaws. I think it's too long. It has like 8 endings. I think it's like it needs to just be tightened, and I think that story could still be told in the exact same way. But I still think like there's a point at the end when Ellie and Abby are fighting. It's at the very end, and they're in the boat. And if you listen really carefully, the noises that they make, even though they're still human, but the noises that they make are very similar to the noises that the clickers and the zombies and all that they make. And you get this sense of like that like, you know, Ellie especially is turning into a monster. She's giving up her humanity, and it's just that flicker of a memory that she has with Joel at the end that allows her to reclaim that humanity and break the cycle, essentially, right? Break the cycle that Joel started. And it felt almost like an answer for the characters, but also an answer for fans as well. As you know, in this gaming environment when you were tasked with killing people over and over and over again, it gave us like a bit of an out, or a bit of an escape from that. And so that part of the story, I think, like worked really, really well for me. It's not as tight and not as kind of perfect and nuanced as the first one, but I still really enjoyed the second one a lot, and paired with the gameplay that I think was like improved a ton. It's still, like Cooper, like it's not in my top 10 because it didn't have the same impact at the time as the first one did, but I still think it's a really somehow I think it's like it gets like crapped on way more than it should, but it's also celebrated more than it should too. So I'm not sure where that puts it. But
there's also a certain element of the crapping on that's more chud related, more like undeserved. There's definitely some artistic stuff to that it deserves a lot of criticism, but it got a lot of shit that it did not deserve when it came out.
Yeah, true.
So
yeah, totally.
Yeah, the length, like I too thought that game was like twice as long probably than it really should have been. Yeah. But at the same the game, the part 2 was just so long.
Yeah.
But I to the point where like it was kind of cool because it worked with the narrative in a way where you do almost feel like Ellie putting in this obsession with this task that she has, and by the end of it you're actually like, I was literally like almost out loud being like, man, I can't go along with this anymore. Like I don't even agree with this at this point. It's been so long that I'm just like, let's
so
stop.
much killing by that point. You've killed like hundreds of people.